Welcome to Horizon of Marmoris session 15. It's been a while. Let's get into it. Who wants to do the recap?
Um, let's see if I can find my notes. I believe we entered the Underworld after. Was it Wake or was it Hull? Hull, I think, used one of the key we pilfered from the Cecils.
Mm,
That opened. Yeah?
yes, accurate.
Okay. That opened the gates to the Underworld, following after the first boat that disappeared under the water. Um, The crew was a bit unnerved by it, to say the least. A lot of them were a bit broken by that before all tried to give a speech, to try to rally them. I believe Wake also tried to use some space magic to try to reinforce the bones of them. I'm, I'm not quite sure about this part. Um, Mist was a bit peeved and began quietly arguing a bit with Hall and Wake, but mostly Hall, about what Hall had done without really trying to usurp Balthazar, trying to force the crew to go through this, and trying to find the boat that we were chasing, whether or not it was still here. There was a big disagreement within the cabal, and we began following. We were attacked by ghost seagulls, and we were coming next to what appeared to be a shanty town, shanty ghost town. My
Yep.
notes are really all over the place. I don't know if I missed something or not.
That's the general gist of it.
Mhm.
Ventured into the underworld, faced dangers, faced the crew and coming apart a bit at the seams. And where we left off was the crew of La Rosa sailing down a river, becoming, filled with
Speeds, I think,
floating
right?
nuts
Uh,
uh, on the surface, and seeing in the distance the pale lights of a what appeared to be a shanty town along the river with their quarry docked. And that's where
right,
we'll.
and I remember that Miss did the divination spell. Um, and the result was that three of the crew on that ship were dangerous. I think they were mage. I don't remember exactly the result of the divination, but I remember that there was some danger, but concentrated around three of its crew specifically.
Mhm. And that's where the camera pans back in. Take it away. Currently, the ship is sailing. It's within eyesight of this river city. The sound of the nuts knocking onto the hull sort of provides almost percussion backdrop to the otherwise utterly silent surroundings. And you're probably, maybe 15 minutes away from getting in proper eyesight of the settlement, whatever it is.
Well, the plan, you know, get in there, do a raid, um, and grab what we can. Hull is kind of preparing the crew and sort of motivating them.
Okay. People are generally sort of reacting to your instructions, even if some of them are, visibly shaky, hands shaking, gazes distant. They're, responsive at least, not catatonic, with somewhat the exception of our favorite poor little drunk, Anselmo, who is busy sort of standing at the
Yeah.
railing, gazing out over the water at what appears to be sort of a small clutch of humanoid figures sort of wandering at the edge of eyesight in the distance.
I think Mist would have taken Anselmo. I think he fixed him at dinner, if I remember correctly, but uh, taking him back towards the underdeck to, give him something to do. Just mm, having not be on the deck and be able to do crazy stuff, because last time he tried to eat one of the seeds from the river.
Indeed. So as you bring Anselmo his dinner and sort of start to gently encourage him to come back, you notice that you notice his muttering to himself that had previously been, quite quiet. His bearded lips sort of forming words that now become audible as it seems he has an audience. He turns to you, sort of, and grabs at you a little bit, almost unbalancing your hold on the plate, and he asks you, "Is this hell? Is this where we're bound for? Is this what happens to us once we've passed off the mortal coil? It, these poor wretched souls are they the damned?"
Mist will stay silent for a second, considering, and he will place a hand on Anselmo's shoulder and says, I don't know, but what I know right now is that neither of us belongs here. We will get back to where we came from. We'll get back to the world of the living, I promise.
It's so cold, so cold, not burning like what the preachers promise us hell is like. Is this what it's like to be damned, cold and hungry, rather than a flame? Is this where
I
my
don't know.
Maria is? Is this where she's gone? And at this point, his
Is
ranting and raving becomes, much louder as it becomes apparent that other crew members have been listening unnerved.
uh,
And he also becomes much less intelligible, coincidentally.
Mist will try one again, like, put the plate down and just try to put both of his hand on his shoulders, say, Anselmo, look at me. We nobody belongs here. This is not hell. This is not heaven. This is not right. I know, but we will get out of here. All right. Just focus on that. Just remember the sun, the sea. Remember everything that you loved about the land of the living, and just focus on that for me, please. Just do that.
Give me a presence plus empathy roll -2.
Oof. That's one dice, not a chance die. Nope.
So he doesn't seem to acknowledge your words. Like, you're clearly speaking to him. He doesn't seem to be hearing them and continues to, rave and cry as other crew members are very visibly disturbed by, this reminder of their mortality, which they'd previously been able to put off through a combination of stirring inspiration and supernal truth revelation from Hall. Um, but as you said before, if you try to, physically move him towards the back the way you said you were planning to, then, he doesn't
Yep.
resist. You're able to sort of lead him away, if not silence him.
Yeah, no, you will try to just take him below deck and just giving something to eat, something to drink, and try to calm him down while glaring at mists before going on the deck. No, glaring at Mist, not glaring at myself.
Uh,
Glaring at Hall.
yeah. Anything from anyone else, or should we just cut to sailing into harbor?
While oh, yeah.
Just gonna say, Hull is pointedly not looking at Mist.
Wow.
With the Wake's wounds patched up, he's also going to be taking a moment to like get steady and probably do some pattern scouring, uh, just in case it's needed.
Okay.
So what is that again? That is reduce a physical attribute or one extra lethal wound.
Yep, it's a resistant lethal wound, or it is reducing a physical attribute for 24 hours, or no, 48 hours, 2 days,
I'll take
whatever.
the lethal wound. Seems more interesting.
Okay, cool. Um,
But Wake is really, trying to grit teeth and bear through it. Uh, keep the eyes on the prize as we start getting closer to this city.
cool. Hold on, I'm just fiddling with something. Um, Wait, no, that's not correct. There we go. Okay, cool. So you're sailing up towards proper structure before or now, as you had been previously, moving your way down these first the tributaries and now this proper river. You'd been seeing dotted pockets of architecture, individual walls, maybe even a whole building, small objects, but this appears to be a proper settlement, multiple structures all clustered together, albeit very disparate in terms of their architectural style. You see a mixture of wooden structures, sort of a whole harbor house, perhaps in traditional style you're used to seeing in European ports, as well as more thatched buildings, reed constructed walls sort of mixed amidst them, as well as even the occasional destroyed ship that is being used as the body of a building. Lights, pale and wan, sort of shimmer from out of windows, giving the impression of movement, of occupation. You see probably at least a couple dozen buildings, making this something of a small port town in terms of scale. But it's not until you move closer that you start to notice actual figures. Some of them sort of having their attention drawn towards your very notably not ephemeral ship. Or rather, not ectoplasmic, rather, I guess.
Yeah.
There are proper docks. When I say proper, I mean they are there. Not that they're particularly structurally sound looking, but you are able to, pull up towards one if you so choose. What's the game plan for as soon as what's the game plan for as soon as you get into dock?
Do they
Are you
seem?
planning on docking?
Wake is going to be kind of looking towards Hull for this, given that she's traditionally been kind of the planner when it comes to raid times, especially
Um,
following her impassioned speech earlier.
Question: does Almanso just tries to stay on the deck? Like, doesn't try to go back up? Or
Does what?
Almanso, Anselmo. Ugh, ooh,
Uh,
wow,
no,
words.
Anselmo has is doing his very best at self-soothing down below. After he was sort of removed from the deck, he seems sort of in his own head.
All
Um,
right, then.
do you sort of secure him, or lock the
Yes,
door, or
I just
anything like that?
I'll just I'll just try to basically make him drunk enough to pass out in his hammock.
Okay, so you like feed him a lot of alcohol and you sort of put him in his hammock, but you're not trying to sort of physically secure him.
Mm, no. He doesn't want to restrain him. Just wanting to sleep and not move right now.
Okay, gotcha.
And then he will go back on the deck with Hull and Wake.
You can see the other ship more properly now. As you're coming up, it stands out as being sort of the only other structure that looks like it has color to it. Is the biggest differentiator that you see with all of the rest of the structures you've seen so far. You can tell that this wooden building was supposed to be brown vaguely. You can tell that this small watch that washed up on a ghostly shore was supposed to be golden, but the actual color is dusky wan gray, whereas you all still have color about you. Your ship has color to it, and this other ship that you see flying its Spanish flag is almost sort of an overwhelming pop of vividness amidst the backdrop so far. You can see its name at this point, which is El Cimitara, and you can see a couple of figures moving on the ship deck from a distance, sort of flashes of movement over the railing.
Flashes over which railing? The other ship?
Yes.
And it's docked.
Yes. It's docked. The gangplank or gangway is down. You don't see anyone presently going up or down, but you also don't know how long it's been docked here for. So you don't know how many of its crew might be ashore in the settlement. Also, yeah, I guess one last thing. Everyone give me a perception check. Hit that eyeball for me. Give it a -1.
Fine roll. Yeah.
Cool. So you see further, or you spot just out of the corner of your eye, further back beyond the settlements or the buildings of the river town, another pop of, well, of a structure. It's not made out of material from living material, the way you and your ship is, but it stands out for its uh, size and the obvious intentionality of its construction, rather than being ramshackle constructed of whatever bits of ghost structure can be found around here. Straight stone walls, sharp corners. It appears to be sort of a stone warehouse, rectangular in proportions, sort of slightly set apart from the rest of the river city, further down. And what do you do?
Well, I mean, Hull is going to treat this as like an aggressive exercise.
Yeah. I don't
So
imagine they're being very subtle here, right?
yeah, and I think as part of their preparations, like we've seen how the salt affects the seagulls, and that's kind of a common uh, superstition, as it were, about ghosts. So I think it'd be pretty easy to put together that salt has a general effect on ghostly stuff. So in terms of like how much salt we have, is that enough to like every man gets a fistful, or
You used a fair amount of salt during the fight with the seagulls. Salt is, in this day and age, still a very valuable commodity. So it's not like everyone's just got huge amounts of it laying around, because you would have sold it. But I will say that probably it would be enough for half of the crew and all of yourselves to have a fistful. And I'll model this as sort of a modifier to the crew's ability to take actions against ghosts,
Okay.
I guess.
Um. All
Okay.
right. Well,
So
we already started.
aggressive. Are you
Yeah.
docking and then running up the gangplank, or are you trying to do sort of or are you trying to board sort of from without having docked? I guess. Oh, let me. Can I
I
draw
think
in
pulling
here?
alongside the other ship and
Yeah.
and sort of swinging
Dropping
across
the
and
gangway.
gangplanking across.
Yeah. I think you can do that. Yeah. I was about to do some MS Paint, but then I screw it. Okay, so you're trying to swing in, do normal boarding procedure, and jump onto the ship. So this is a thing that, or it helps that the soldiers don't have, or the sailors don't have to go onto shore near all of the spooky figures they see floating or walking around. And it's a thing they've done before. So I will put the music on. Um, Okay, so you swing up towards the other ship. You're coming in slowly so you don't crash, but you start to hear sort of hollers and hails and shouts from the other ship as clearly they've spotted you. The crew members of La Rosa get ready to swing over the grappling hooks, swing over the gangplank for boarding, ready their weapons, and boarding succeeds. The gangplank is on. Everyone is rushing onto the enemy ship. They're met by very obviously, able-bodied real sailors who are equipped themselves with weapons. Notably, for anyone watching from further back, there doesn't seem to be any one in particular directing the battle plan. There's no sort of, captain at the helm shouting and giving orders, which implies to you that they might be elsewhere.
Could we have said that Wake would have gathered a small group as well to maybe not just immediately rush in?
Yes,
as part of the preparation?
sure. Let me just,
I might try to do a sort of a flanking.
Okay.
Mace is definitely gonna raise his time armor, I think.
Okay, cool.
Oh, my book is on a bit. Which one gives me defense against firearm?
I believe it's time. You can look that up
Look it up,
because
sorry,
it's Hall's action. Broad strokes. What are you looking to do / direct the crew to do?
Well, first of all, get onto the other ship, sort of take control of entries and exits, and then start getting below decks and making sure that's clear, so that we can nick the boat.
Hall is boarding herself.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
She's not got front line, but she's hanging back a little bit, so she's got a good view of things. But yeah, she'll board.
Okay, so you are being encountered at the end of the gangplank with whatever sailors you've got in the boarding party, clashing, swinging. What means are you using to try to get past them?
Now, I know it's my go-to, but does sort of coaxing the spirits or gremlins and stuff, is that going to work here?
So we know that there's no twilight here. Hull looking about, or Emmerich, or not Emmerich, well, yes, Emmerich, but Mist looking about finds there to be no death twilight around here, which means that all of the ghosts which you would normally see just sort of exist in the same frequency as you and your material bodies. And Hull would have discovered almost immediately that there are no spirits in here anywhere. Things have essence. Things have sort of a very strange, modified kind of resonance that she can't quite put her finger on. But she has seen no spirits.
Well, that stumps my one trick. I think
Hate this.
I think she's going to lean on her second ability, which is shouting at people to do things.
Always a good standby. Shouting gets results. So is she going to try to sort of, I don't know, push and exhort the crew, motivate them, or, just command them to make way for her? Or make a way for her?
I think she's going to deliver a very sort of excoriating, barking commands and things, and saying, kind of inspired by what Anselmo said earlier of, like, the people down here, they're the I shouldn't say losers, but they're the they were the slow ones. They were the ones who didn't fight well. They're the ones who got stuck here. And if you don't want to be like them, you better get a move on.
Okay, so let's call this a presence plus either intimidation or expression. And we'll give it a minus... Well, how do I want to do this? Yeah, just a -1.
I'm going to spend a willpower on that. Oh no.
Okay. So crew can't quite hear you. Everyone is shouting, everyone's screaming. You don't quite make it through the din around you, which means that the crew is acting unassisted. And unfortunately, they don't manage to break through the defenders on the one gangway that Hull is standing behind, which brings us down to Mist.
So we are on the enemy boat, right?
You are attempting to board the enemy boat.
I am attempting.
What is the means through which you are going to try to get on the enemy boat?
Do we have any ropes or
Yep,
grappling?
Certainly.
Uh,
Are you going to try to swing over?
I was thinking about that, but I'm more concerned about the crew. Is the crew already on the other boats? Or...
Attempting to. Some of them have their grappling hooks. They've chucked them. They're trying to swing over, but sort of the bulk of the people are trying to make their way across on gangways and are being sort of intercepted, fought against by the party you are attempting to board. So I'll say, like, it's sort of like, very chaotic, obviously. Some people are getting over. Like, you want as many of your people getting over as possible. You yourself are not presently on board.
I see. I think... Yeah, Miss is gonna try to go over, either by swinging or even just jumping over, like sprinting and jumping in a very confident manner, might I add.
Give me a...
Very calm and focused.
Sure, give me a strength plus athletics roll -2.
I will... Do I use a destiny points now or after? I'm gonna use the
That's a good
destiny to have a.
question.
I'm gonna use the destiny now to use rote quality. Nope.
Destiny.
The road quality did not work as it was intended for some reason.
Well, just roll 2 more dice then.
Yep. That's very weird, but oh well.
Okay.
Just one success.
But 1 success is enough. You make it
True.
on board. You land with a thump, sort of, I imagine for, rule of cool purposes, you, like, kick down an enemy crew member as you land, sort of with both feet, and, you are near, the prow of the ship. Wake.
So we've got someone near the prow, and then the rest are kind of just, engaged in boarding right on the side.
Yes.
I think I'd like to cast co-location with a couple of other people boarding to try to create like a flank and appear like right behind a group of people.
Okay.
So I've got the reach. I've got 2 extra reaches to make a portal that anyone could see. Could I use the salt that I and maybe a couple other the crew members have as a sacrament, kind of casting it overboard into the depths of the ocean to clear a path?
Interesting. I think that, yes, mechanically I'll let you have it, but I think that for sort of, how I envision it happening, like, salt itself doesn't seem to semiotically link with, sort of teleporting or flanking, but if you were to make a circle with it, then that seems pretty portal-like to me.
A circle as well, that was one of the things I could go. I was going to kind of tie it into the mystery of salt and kind of the ebb and flow of the sea and like,
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll give it to you. And we're sort of like abstracting from turns, so I'll let you get sort of a... you can either use 2 yantras, or you can bring them over this turn. Your choice.
Okay. I'll bring them over this turn. Is this a 1 or a 2 yantra?
This will be a 1.
Okay.
I think.
I'll do 1. Let's see, range. I won't make it aimed, so that's a couple reach. I will spend 1 mana on it. It's Paradox first, right?
Yes.
Right.
Sweet.
No successes.
I forgot to ask if you were containing, but whatever.
I was gonna. Oh yeah, I was containing, but here's the spell roll. A 1 success.
That's all you need.
And it's kind of just going to be the air, swirling and then pulling apart in all directions, creating a visible like crack in the air, as if someone had smashed it with a hammer.
Cool.
And it only stays open for about 3 turns, so. And it's right, behind where the areas of the fighting are.
Cool. So that seems like it goes into this condition that you have of transposing locations and moving people around. So I'll go ahead and mark a beat for that. And why don't you roll 3 dice for me, as the sleepers sort of are alarmed and shocked and sort of slightly out of sorts over this, portal appearing in front of them.
Which one of these is the D10? And as this portal is made, Wake is absolutely also going to barrel through it as one of the first people through, and activate space armor as he does it. He's not going to stand back during the fighting. 1, 2, 3.
Cool.
2 successes.
Nice. So, that is no wisdom drop. I think that you still get a condition. We'll call it hasty. You'll get a beat next time you do something ill-considered.
Okay. the other one got deleted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resolved.
I didn't know if it resolved. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you're on the ship. You've sort of charged forward. You've yelled at your crew to charge forward. And now the boarded party get to do something as well. So Paul, you are not presently sort of close enough to get struck at, but your crew members are. Mist, you are very surrounded. Well, I mean, I imagine there are some other crew of La Rosa there, but what is your defense?
My defense currently is defense. Wait, see, that's a lot. Something must be wrong.
Is that because of your armor?
No, I do not have any armor. Oh, my
Yeah.
fate. Yes, you're right. It is 6
Okay.
then. Yes.
Sweet. There's lots of folks attacking you, so your defense drops each time, but we'll say keep accidentally doing things as Wake, but that's fine. So Dalian, you take 2 points of lethal damage as well. Is it lethal damage? Yeah, I mean they got swords. So
Yeah,
you're ducking, dodging, weaving, sort of things are sort of snaking around and making you hard to hit. Other members of your crew tripping or causing them to be intercepted, them tripping over their own crew members, but they managed to get a couple of good swings in at you. Remind me what is beaten down. Okay, yeah. And for Wake, I think that there's only enough time for one strike in as you surprise everyone by coming out of this portal. No successes. Back to the top of the round. Paul, you're still at the edge of the gangplank watching sort of this relatively evenly matched at this point scuffle at the end of your plank. You notice that Mist and Wake have both gotten onto the ship, along with various contingents of a few of the crew members. What do you do?
So our enemies are flesh and blood?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. I'm going to go for words of truth. And I'm going to tell them that, they are going to die if they don't run away.
Is that true, objectively? So I like the tactic. I think that there's definitely a way that you can make a extremely true threat.
We're going to kill them if they don't run away.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So go ahead and give me the spell, and then you can make your attempt to browbeat them, whether it does or doesn't succeed.
Okay. I want to use Hull's shadow name as like the authority of the ship, in terms of who is in and who is out. And by saying that, no, I am the ship, I am the I am the boundary, and I decide that you are out.
Sure, go for it.
Sorry, just constructing the spell.
No sweat.
I'm gonna release the paradox.
Okay.
Hey, hey.
Okay, well, your spell goes off either way. Scale, 5 subjects, large house, sure, that's fine. And for the... So, the imago of your spell, you sort of speak for truth. Go ahead and give me your presence and expression roll, or presence and intimidation. No penalty.
I'm gonna spend a willpower this time. Oh, that's an exceptional.
Nice. Do you want to... Okay, so you'll impose a condition on them. I think that your intended outcome is that you want them to surrender. You want to knock the fight out of them. And you are doing that through sort of speaking the truth of your murderous intent. And so you impose a condition. Well, no, let's say that it's on you. You impose a condition on yourself and your crew members. We'll call it bloodthirsty. You'll gain rogue quality on your next act of violence.
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah, and so the enemy crew members are clearly sort of affected by this. The ones sort of directly in front of you, or in front of, you know, your clutch of crew, sort of are sort of struck dumb by this sudden, you know, overwhelming truth, and they are cut down pretty easily. So I'll mark down. Sweet. The way is clear for you, and you are able to alight off of the gangplank onto the deck of La Scimitarra, which brings us to Mist, bloody and slightly wounded.
So is the enemy crew still hostile?
You're pretty far away from where Hall is, sort of attempting to alight onto the ship.
So,
Which means that sort of there are some folk who still have their heads on about you.
all right. Do I want to cast a spell to attack?
You could do many things, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. Which one do I choose? Just let me look at my spells. I think I'm just gonna attack, to be honest.
Okay. Those
I have
dice
to
are
scroll that
unrelated
roll.
to your turn.
Oh, sure.
Just rolling some breaking points, don't mind me. Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead and roll your attack. How are you attacking? Who are you attacking?
I have the sword. Anyone that's next to me.
Alright, swinging, ringing steel. Go for it.
Yep.
Defense you'll be applying is 3.
All right, and I'm gonna use another point of. Wait, that's not right. Oh no, he is right. Um, that would leave me 1 dice. That's not a lot. But I cannot attack. Oh wait, sorry. I'm gonna look at my fate armor. Did any of them miss me last time?
No. Well, I mean, yes, like in the abstract.
No, if I dodge. Okay.
Yeah, dodge
No,
is
I'm
a
gonna.
discrete action, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna dodge instead.
Okay, cool. You ready yourself to sort of evade harm, take cover, sort of
Mhm.
get yourself away. Remember, you do have those conditions on you if you've forgotten what they are. But brings us down to Wake. Wake, you've charged in. Are you checking behind you to see if any of the crew have followed you through your portal, or are you just going ham?
I mean, he would have checked, but
Okay. You see that a couple of them have, stumbled past, maybe half of the number. The others are more hesitant, sort of bringing things up slowly, but you still have the advantage of surprise on your side, which will give you a penalty or a bonus to any sort of acts in this first turn.
rather than just like straight up, using like just punching or stabbing or even shooting, would it be possible? I assume we stepped out kind of on the far side. Is anyone close enough for Wake to kind of shoulder check or throw bodily off the ship?
Sure.
Because he'll just try to like reach or grab one of the hostiles and just kind of toss them into the depths.
Okay. So normally this would be grappling, but since they're surprised, I'll let you just do it. You're rolling strength plus brawl, -2. Yeah.
Roll -2. Does this count as a rote one?
Uh,
Because it is like this is violence.
oh, I was applying that to Hull, but
Ah, okay. I thought it was you said the crew members, but okay. Spend. All right.
yeah,
I will
I
spend
just mean the ones
willpower.
near her, who normally wouldn't be affected by this spell, but you must have done that spell real good. Must have been the paradox.
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you grab one of the enemy crew members, sort of from behind, the one who's sort of, I don't know, standing near, manning one of the swivel guns, probably, so he's somewhat distracted, and you just chuck him right overboard. And this obviously draws attention from both your crew and the enemy crew, the former of whom are encouraged, the latter of whom are discouraged. And now we've got them doing something. They're taking quote-unquote wounded penalties at this point. So as Hull walks onto the ship, there are a few folks who still have the resolve to... what was the pose? Who still have sort of the chutzpah to attempt violence against you. What's your defense?
Mine is currently.
I was asking Hull.
Oh, okay.
That's an excellent question. I believe it's really bad. Yeah, it's like 2.
Okay. Well. Do. Okay. So you take 3 points of bashing damage as they're able to put up a fight. And they manage to get some blows in, but you sort of bat them off with the help of yourself and your cadre of crew. Mist, your defense is presently, or rather, you're rolling a defense or a dodge pool. Yeah.
Yes, just need to know how much penalty I'll take for multiple opponents
Yep.
before I need to
Okay.
roll.
So roll your dodge pool twice.
So I have -1. Okay.
Well, so it'll be like the second dodge roll will be 2 fewer than the
Yeah.
because the penalty or the defense is penalized before you double. My oh my! I don't think you get
Nice.
anything for exceptional on a dodge roll, right? But cool if you did.
Up to you, I guess.
Same as exceptional with anything else.
Yeah, I guess the question is like, does dodge allow exceptional rather than do you get anything on exceptional? Let's see. A dramatic failure when blah 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 against. You allow dramatic failures, but it doesn't say anything about dramatic success. Either way, there's something for fate armor that you were fishing for, right? Like if you cause or if you completely dodge. Both of them completely miss. The first one pretty spectacularly. I'm gonna say actually like goes off the edge of the boat because while trying to strike you, trips over some rope and falls into the water below. You hear the scream, the splash, and
Would
the other
I?
one, sort of comes at you also. Misses, and what happens? Let me go look at the attainments.
Just can spend upon a mana to add my fate dot has a weapon damage, as a weapon bonus damage.
Well, where are you? Mage armor.
So it'll just hurt more if I attack.
Character successfully dodges an opponent's attack. The player can spend a point of mana to add the character's fate dots as a weapon rating on the mage's special attack on that target. Okay, yeah, sure. Cool.
Which I'll do.
And Wake. Your defense was
4.
okay.
3 from space member.
It's pretty good. Fortunately, you do take a point of lethal damage as someone gets you with a cutlass while your back is turned, doing your best WWE impression.
Uh-oh, any more and I'll start taking wound penalties.
And I think probably Mist and Wake should be beaten down, but I'd forgotten about it. Either way, we come back up to the top of the round. As Hall makes her way onto the ship, she notices that those who are successfully cowed by her crime and her screaming have sort of retreated back to the below decks. Some are, obviously in surrender. The number of defending crew members who are willing to do violence and are not beaten down has shrunken dramatically. You get the sense that there's not a whole lot of fight left in the enemy crew. What do you do?
Hull is determined to take control of this ship, so it's time to start doing that. As things start getting mopped up, she's directing people to, start putting down rigging, and she's going to head for the wheel, the helm, I should say, and start getting ready for that. They're getting the fuck out of here.
Okay, cool. Mist.
Mist will. Is there still a lot of opponents?
There are still some. There are fewer, especially now that one of them's gone off the boat.
Well,
but as Scrig mentioned, you get the feeling that you're in mop-up mode.
Mop up. I mean, I guess I spend a point of mana. I might as well attack to have that juicy bonus.
Okay. Go for it. You're applying a defense of 3.
I'm gonna spend a willpower and another dot of destiny.
Bonuses on
Because-
bonuses.
Because why not?
So you're adding rope quality to it then, since you're
Yep.
declaring beforehand. Okay.
And it didn't apply, I think.
Weird.
Well, I'm just
roll
throwing
3
three
more
dice
dice. Yeah. Just normal success. But that's enough to deal
That's
a point of lethal damage.
5 lethal damage.
Oh, weapon. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
With as a weapon rating. Yep. You're right. Okay, yeah. So you nearly got the guy. It's very like his innards are spilling out onto your boots. Through sort of the ferocity of your strike, you cut him sort of almost clean through. And
if he surrender, Mist will accept. Just in case.
He's not really in a doesn't have the ability to either resist or surrender at this point. He's kind of actively in shock. But that sort of breaks the back of the opposition, sort of abstractly. The ship is quelled. Any crew members or crew members of La Scimitara who had fled below decks are, surrendered. And notably, Wake, I think you were... Yeah, Wake, give me a perception check -3.
They roll.
It did. Cool. So, looking over the side of the boat, where you'd chucked the guy, I presume, you look down and... Let me change the music. It should be spookier, actually. Spooky. About this one.
That's pretty spooky.
There we go. So you see sort of 2 of the enemy crew members who you chucked overboard are in the water, and they're, actively swimming towards shore. They don't seem to have, dissolved or discorporated or anything into the strange water, which is a new piece of information Wake has. But one of them, the one who was thrown sort of overboard back out towards the center of the river, you watch for a little bit, and then you see through sort of the seeds floating on the surface a momentary flicker of movement before the crew member screams and is pulled under by something you can't quite make out the shape of in the murky depths.
Ooh.
But you take control of the ship. Hall, you're at the helm. You wanted to get the hell out of there, was your intention. And if you start, commanding people to sort of start doing that, start getting pulled up, then people begin to do so.
Start the engines, boys.
Okay.
Do we have enough?
It's gonna be hard.
Could
you...
I? Oh,
Sorry,
I
go
have
ahead.
a specialty in logistics for politics. Do you think that might come in handy? Would I be able to help figure out the most who should go where?
Sure. Let me think on that while I go to the bathroom. I'll be back in 5.
I should have made a plan. I just realized.
Yeah, because right now I don't think we have enough people for that.
Do we not have enough crew to crew 2 boats?
You just
don't
need
think so,
a
no.
skeleton crew or a ghost crew on both. I think we probably have enough to do it. I don't know if we have a plan to get it out though, as much, right?
Well, my thinking is that, if they've come down here, they've got a way out.
Mhm.
And they're not going to leave that way out on the shore, are they? They're going to have it with their boat. So
Maybe go out is another mage. That's the problem.
I mean, would they have come down here into the underworld to meet a mage?
No, there are 3 mage on the crew. And some like they might not have any artifacts to
If
get
there's
out.
no other way out, I was thinking of maybe retiring the artifact we keep on the ship. It is attuned to like space. We'd have to see if Toast is okay with it, but we might be able to like, we could like smash it, right? Do some
Your
sort of
artifact?
Hail Mary, right?
That's
Yeah,
a good way out, actually. Yeah.
Wait, what does your artifact do? I don't.
It's technically it's like a connection to the astral. So we could see if we smash it. Big a sacrament of an artifact.
Mm,
I'm back.
maybe.
Did anyone
Definitely, I
else
could do. Oh, hey.
also take a break while I was away?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, so, you were attempting to do something politicsy. I think that, you could figure out, pretty easily, sort of the who's who on the ship in terms of, who's the first mate, of La Scimitarra, what's the command structure like, and that could, help you to sort of get these, enemy crew members compliant more easily, I guess, maybe?
Yeah, because we
Rosa-
don't. Do we have enough crew to maneuver 2 boats at once?
Yeah, so based on what Dahlia, or what you all know of ship sort of sailing, La Rosa already wasn't sort of an overstaffed crew, so if only the crew of La Rosa is piloting, then it's going to be sort of more difficult because you're understaffing both ships. Doable, but perilous.
Because I was asking.
Are you
more
going to try to
split
sort
off
of
into 2
do
crews.
that immediately, rush it, or are you going to try to sort of do something else?
I can just look at Miss and and say, "Fuck it, let's just loot the place, single ship, and get out."
No, we're not doing that. Hull is just like, no, we've just like risked
our
life
ship.
and limb.
You've risked
Turn
basically
around.
nothing. You let the other crew take risk. You let all crews suffer. Just do the right thing for once.
Okay, and are they going to suffer for nothing? Like enough
They
of this.
suffer because of you, and if we stay dead here, we're gonna suffer for nothing. Yes, just stop with your fucking nonsense. Just
Well,
take the treasure, get out of here.
The ship is the treasure. It's what we came here for.
Where's the treasure? Like,
Then
we're
go
taking the ship,
look
we're
what we
taking
have. We cannot maneuver 2 boats like that without even knowing where we're going. You see, Dalian is
Miss-
unexpectedly angry for one you might never see him with a look of anger on his face, and he is showing it.
Hull isn't backing down. She points back across the gangplanks and says, "Head back over to the ship and get things ready to move."
No, you're not the captain.
Do what you please then. The rest of us are going to sort this out, and we're going to be sailing out of the underworld with a whole ship. Okay? And she turns away and she starts, getting people in line, and yeah, let's browbeat some of these captured sailors, get them to be doing some of the drudge work,
Yeah.
and
Wake will
get
also
things moving.
trying to set up, which members of La Rosa should like stay over on this side as well to watch the other ship, trying to like divvy up chains of command.
Exactly.
So Dalian, which ship are you staying on La Scimitarra, or are you going back to La Rosa, or are you going somewhere else?
Where's the captain? On which ship is he?
I think Balthazar is back on La Rosa, attempting to sort of get ready to go. So,
And who
notably,
has
La
this-
Rosa is not docked, so it's sort of already, a little more out into the river. It's connected by gangplanks, but sort of there's still crew on La Rosa, sort of keeping it from running aground, right?
who has the skeleton key that we use to get in?
I think Paul has
Probably
it.
Paul, yeah, still.
Hmm.
The one that your crew has, at
Probably
least.
if it was me. Yeah.
I didn't heard, like you all talked at the same time. Who said what?
I probably still have it.
Okay.
Hull probably still has it. I should say.
He's going back on La Rosa.
Okay. And so Dalian walks over, I imagine probably stalks over, somewhat angry, visibly, which people probably pick up on unless you're making efforts to hide your emotions.
He's not making any efforts.
Okay. And as Dalian, goes over onto the ship, I presume heads back towards Balthasar because you asked about him. You hear someone ask, "Where's Anselmo?"
Should be. He's gonna check on the deck and see if Anselmo is still here.
He
Like he made
is.
sure he was almost past or drunk. Left,
You
so.
so when someone says "Where's Anselmo?" It's sort of in the mode of he's not below decks. Where is he? So you don't have to go down to check that unless you don't trust that information.
Well, I'm sure he was past or drunk when I left. So unless the fight took like most hours, like many hours. Oh, I can't speak today. Well,
It took minutes, I think, like not seconds, but sort of several minutes.
yeah. So Dalian does not absolutely trust that he's not on the on the deck.
Okay. So he goes looking below decks for him then.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So a quick check in the what was it? The quarters. There we go. That's the word. You find that his what's it? His hammock. There we go. His hammock is empty. But the floor next to it is thoroughly coated with vomit.
Okay. Well, if he's not here, he's not here. Just.
Yep. Is that the sort of thing that you tell the sort of rest of the crew as you go up?
I don't know. We're just gonna look for him up a deck and see if you can spot him. But
Sure. Give me an eyeball. Cool. So you walk up onto the deck or upper deck of the ship. You walk back towards the aft, climbing up the stairs towards where the steering column is for a better view. And you don't see Anselmo sort of on the deck of the ship immediately. But as you sort of look around, look towards the shore, you do see that you see a human figure, with color to it, a living human on the beach of the river, sort of kneeling in the sand, and it fits Anselmo's harried, haggard profile. It's not immediately next to the ship, but it's not sort of too far away.
is there any way I can get down there and just like, is there any
You could take a rowboat,
like?
or you
Did it
could
just?
take a rowboat, or you could jump to shore. Those are means you have, or yeah. or sail La Rosa over towards, and then try to get him to swim out and climb up. Any of those.
He's gonna rowboat quickly and get on some back in.
Okay, cool. That'll take a
And
few minutes. Meanwhile, on La Scimitarra, Hull, you were trying to get these folk to sail, get back to their stations, sail the ship, get out of hell, presumably. Give me. How are you attempting to do so?
I'm gonna make a plan.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm gonna use the jury rigging rules. Hull's gonna come up with a plan on the spot to, and relay that to their crew members, and we're gonna get out of here.
Okay. So the plan is specifically how to get these ships out of here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Go ahead and roll for it. That is a resolve composure or something like that. Yeah.
It's. I think it's wits and composure for a plan, and then minus the.
That would make sense.
Yeah. So let's go for like a plus. I'm going to spend a willpower and I'm going to make it like a +5 plan. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
It is a success, so I think it still has one of the thingies. It might be fragile or something. Let me just bring up the equipment rules. 1 second.
Every failure. Storyteller. Normal instant action. That's all the rest of the. Yep. Carries the fragile or volatile condition. See above. Let's see. I think that this is probably a volatile plan because it relies on the cooperation of hostile people.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, plan may be volatile. Any failure achieved while benefiting from the equipment is automatically a dramatic failure. The equipment may continue to exist after the condition is resolved, but so its equipment bonus is reduced by 2 dice. This can create equipment penalties. Cool. So, just type that in. Plan, get out of here. +5. Volatile. Ugh, it keeps making me pretend to be you because or you people because it selects your tokens. Anyway, cool. So I think that Wake, while you were attempting to sort of get these people to cooperate, the fact that Hall has this plan will, it sounds very sort of authoritative. It is something that some of them probably did want to do already, and it sort of sweeps people up into the, wake of it. Ding! So that'll give you a +2 to attempts to buy the cooperation of these enemy crew members. So...
could I still use the politics logistics to kind of start folding them into our command?
Yeah, I'll say that it'll just give you +1 also. So you're operating under a +3 total so far, but with a -3 for sort of the obvious circumstances.
Okay.
So how are you going to attempt to win them over? Are you reasoning? Are you intimidating? Are you motivating?
Let me think. Reasoning. I think motivating with an air towards like, it's over, let's move forward then, right? Like I'm not gonna browbeat them, but I'm definitely being like trying to be a commanding presence,
Sure. Give me a presence plus persuasion roll, -3 +3 then.
Wake's playing good cop.
I have a specialty in persuasion. I'm trying to. Oh no, persuasion is just one of my my things. So that's 9 again, +3 -3, right? So just neutral out.
Yeah. Cool.
3.
Yep. So that's enough to get a sufficient number of quote-unquote enemy crew members sort of cooperating. Several of them refuse to cooperate at all. Notably, when some of them get up, start manning their stations. The rest sort of are adamantly refusing to, sort of sitting and staring at the wall. And you might even get some of them replying to you that their masters would never forgive them. Their master's wrath would find them no matter where in the world they went if they were to betray them. Sort of undercurrents of both defiance and fear intermixed. But you are in a rush, so I imagine you don't have the time to sort of stop and more thoroughly interrogate that particular thread. At this point, while this is going on, Dalian, you make it through the thud and thud of seeds unharmed to the shore, where you find Anselmo sort of on his knees in the sand, sort of staring vacantly back in towards the underworld, but he startles when you come near to him.
Miss is just grabbing him and putting him in the rowboat. He's not wasting any time.
Okay, yeah, he
Doesn't
doesn't.
stare.
He doesn't resist, but his movements sort of are a little, he doesn't immediately like get up and sort of walk along with you, but he's not resisting you. He's sort of surprised and a bit out of it. And I guess you just sort of, do you silently row back? Are you still seething? Do you talk to him?
No, he just roll backs and just like he doesn't want to stay any minutes more than he has to. He just roll backs as quick as he can, and once they're back to the boat, it's just gonna knock him somewhere out. And this time, just tie him into like somewhere so he cannot escape again.
Okay. You successfully do so. And at this point, the ships are off. You depart. You pull away with both La Scimitar and La Rosa, and you make your way back out towards the rivers. So, go ahead.
Would getting back a Samo counts like fulfilling my virtue?
What is your virtue again? Compassionate. Yeah, sure. Gain back your willpower. You definitely impeded some things in terms of hurt feelings with your compassion for all of these crew members and for Anselmo. So go ahead and fully refresh.
Thank you.
Okay, so in terms of this plan, does the plan involve going back the way you came or trying to find another way out?
I'm going to say another way out,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like the way we came was pretty firmly like close to us. It does kind of hinge on like finding out how these guys were planning on getting out, searching their stuff, questioning them, looking for anything that they've got in their quarters and holds and things like that. What was their exit plan, basically?
Okay, sure. So asking, so we'll sort of split that up into the asking around and the searching. Who is doing which?
Hole will do the searching.
Okay.
Wake will take care of asking around then.
Okay. So the searching we'll do first. Go ahead and give me a wits plus investigation roll. No penalties.
Does this get the plan bonus?
Yes.
That's 3 successes.
So you part of the plan was figuring out how to get out of here through, and that involves figuring out how they were going to get out of here. So you target your search towards the captain's quarters. You break in, rifle through the journals, rifle through the papers. You find the ship's manifest, sort of what the ship is carrying, where it came from, where it was headed. It was headed from Havana to well, actually, that doesn't sort of whatever. It was sort of headed from Havana northwards towards the Americas when you intercepted it, and it's carrying normal textiles, things like that. The captain of this ship listed is a named Jerome Santiago. You haven't sort of met anyone that goes by that name, but I imagine that you haven't been asking these sailors their names. You look around, I think, for something that looks like a key that sort of matches yours, is your sort of intuition, but you notice that there is a marked absence of it. You find maybe even you find sort of a case that was supposed to contain a key that is empty.
Shit.
Up on deck, Wake, you're talking around, you're asking people, you're trying to figure out how do they get out of here, what they know about the Underworld and what their plan for escaping was. Go ahead and give me a... well, how are you going about it?
Not whereas before, was more focused on like, definitely trying to like pry it out of them, right? Because I assume this might not be something they're
Mundanely,
as willing
namely?
to share. Huh?
Or,
Oh
namely,
yeah.
mundanely get it out of them, or hastily get it out of them?
Could I do like in terms of spells, I only have of mind 1. I don't know about casting it. Could I like cast it on myself like an unveiling to kind of,
I think
get a
that...
feel for maybe who's being more truthful or more open?
So in terms of that, maybe you could sort of look for a particular wisp of thought that sort of resonates with whatever, or with what you're looking for, and then use that to try to direct your attention to
Yeah,
whoever.
nothing.
You could
Not
also
just like
just...
taking it with the magic, more just like figuring out who might be the
yeah.
weak link,
You
right?
can also, I mean, what many? I think that sort of looking at the example spells in the book, this is definitely something you could do. I think that if we're going off of what the example spells in the book, mental scan with the +1 reach would be able to let you sort of sift through every one or all the subjects. Maybe if you cast on an area and figure out sort of who has this particular thought that I'm looking for, or these particular thoughts I'm looking for.
Okay.
Who
want me to
has
draw
these
that out,
ideas? Sorry, go ahead.
Let's see. So that would be like I'm just putting it in right now then. Yeah, I've got some reach from it. I will not contain the paradox.
Sure.
Would I
so
need it to have duration, or are we just assuming this is like looking for like a specific thread, right?
I don't think it will need duration, but do keep in mind the potency and withstand.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that you'll only need effective potency 1 if you're only looking for someone who has the thoughts of, how to get out of here, knows the way out of here. but you will
I'll try to.
still need to overcome the withstand.
Okay. Sure. I don't think I have enough dice. What happens? Like, if a spell's below, it's just a chance die, right?
Yes, and if it would be a cumulative -5 of penalties, you cannot cast it. But you could still cast it with a dice pool of 0 to -5, effectively. Or attempt to cast it, rather.
Alright, I will attempt to cast it. But it's just going to be a chance die. So Uncontained Paradox, success.
Cool, cool, cool.
Then a spell, failure.
Okay, it's not a dramatic failure, though. Do you want it to be?
Yes.
Sweet.
We'll say
So-
that, you know, Wake's being hasty with it.
Nice. Go ahead, I'll mark down a beat for that, for hasty. And we'll resolve that condition. And you cast a spell. As far as you know, your imago, your will flows out into the fabric around you. You sort of open up your perceptions to the flow of thoughts around you. I imagine that appears as sort of like, a Marmoris upon the water of the collective mindscape of these ship's crew. And you are absolutely certain that all of them know the way out.
Hmm. Okay.
I'll
Does
give you
the-
a
Yeah.
condition for this. It is called informed wrongly.
misinformed. Is this from the dramatic failure or the paradox?
Yes. Okay, so informed wrong. I imagine that it matters for arcane beat versus normal beat, but we'll just go with it being a normal condition. Okay, yeah. So informed wrongly. You're certain all of these crew. Beat when you act on that information dramatically.
Well, after this, spell goes through and shows this, Hull's just going to go towards the nearest crew member then, and start, like really, like trying to get the info out of them. I said he was gonna try to like pry it out of them. Now that he knows that like they all have it, he's got a
Okay.
plan of action.
Cool. Yeah, so you're just sort of berating and browbeating and all that. Sweet. Okay, back on La Rosa. Balthazar is by the helm with his helmsman, sort of largely silent. Wake, or Mist, you've come up from below decks where you've sort of tied up Anselmo, who wasn't resisting. You probably, wipe the vomit off of your pants.
Yeah. Well, Mist is gonna calm himself for a moment and is gonna cast some magic.
Okay.
Basically, I think he's gonna start to cast some sort of conjunctional fate and death spell, like some sort of interconnection to see that he gathered that most of like dead thing in this place seems to go a certain way. So he kind of wants to see, the ultimate fate of everything is here. From what I've gathered from from what he gathered from last session, is to go, is to decay and go down. So he kind of want to try to see the mark of that fate and basically reverse track, um, w- reverse track which thing or ghost, etc., are less and less affected by it, less and less, basically like, how do
Okay.
I have difficulty formulating my thoughts. I
Okay,
don't know if
so
I'm.
from previous sessions,
Yeah.
you've ascertained that the destiny of everything in the underworld is to go down, and so
Yes.
you're trying to see the reverse of that. You're trying to see sort of where
Not
it comes
exactly.
from.
He's trying to. He wants to be able to see those marks and those destiny, and try to go from. Oh, this one is least events than this one, and this one is least events than the last one. Just go back basically on which one is less near this ultimate fate to try to find a way out.
Okay. So essentially, you're looking for how do we get further away from the destiny or this destined
Yes,
descent? Okay, cool. That makes sense to me.
exactly.
Um,
So,
I am not gonna make you roll for it, but I am gonna make you tell me sort of how this. I'm gonna say that it's an unveiling spell. Sort of how does this present itself to your senses after you've unveiled it? After you've cast the spell successfully. Well, actually, tell me how much paradox you, how many dice of paradox you would generate, and then just roll that dice pool.
let's see. Two. I think. I would have to one then. Yes, it would be an overreach of one
Okay.
to have the advanced duration by
Roll.
changing.
Yeah, roll
Sorry.
just the paradox for me and tell me whether you're
You
containing or releasing it.
yes, containing.
Okay. Cool. That's fine. And your spell succeeds. I'm not gonna make you roll for
Nice.
it. So how does it present itself to your senses? This conjunctional fate death.
It will probably see that anything or being that's closer to this ultimate fate is more solid, less fluid. Because once you truly gone and dead, it's the end of the story. So there's no possibility of change anymore. So probably it will look even more static, corporeal, maybe weighted down.
Okay. So the things that are further from this ultimate dissolution appear more solid, less gray. Maybe there's color in there. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and,
I like it.
yeah.
Um,
The further ghost is from his ultimate demise, it looks like a bit more misty, a bit more fluids. Whereas the one that would be near next to his ultimate fate is basically you can't change that anymore. It's done. So is
okay.
yeah.
Cool. So you cast the spell. What yantras did you use? Just by the way.
Mm, probably. Let me see my tool. Probably is artifact as a his dedicated tool, and would probably have used one of the what is it called again? A telescope?
Okay, yeah, sure. So
Yeah.
I imagine Dalian sort of lifting up the telescope, looking through it, and sort of panning around, and the whole around, or the area around you, especially over the river, while you're in the midst of this water, sort of feels like an entity of utter dissolution, of sort of conveying everything to this final destiny. But looking towards, I guess, the left of La Rosa, towards a different tributary than the one you'd come down, feeding into this river, it sort of pops out to you as this sort of glimmer of color above the water along the shoreline, some seeming more firm, like dirt that you could step on, walls sort of dotted along the shore that are more solid. And you could direct Balthazar to head that way. You're sort of in shouting distance barely of the other ship, but as you get this info, let's go to our break since we're midway through. I'll see y'all back here in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Alrighty, see you soon. One. Welcome back. We had a break, and now we are back from break. Before break, Hull had done a search of the La Scimitarra, found that the key, or a thing which she assumes was the key that they used to get down here, is not where it ought to be. Wake discovered through a spell that everyone on this ship absolutely knows how to get out of here, is presently browbeating them to get that knowledge. And Dalian, or rather Mist, had cast a spell to close the door to reveal what paths are further away from the ultimate destiny of complete dissolution that he's determined is the nature of this place, which has identified a path for him. However, he is presently on a different ship from the rest of the Cabal, so we'll start with the spotlight back on Hull, having come back up from below decks. And while you were down there, I'll also mention that you found sort of all the rest of the mundane goals and material goods that you'd been searching for, the ship's cargo, which will fetch a pretty penny when it's sold for, normal, mundane currency, supplies, foodstuffs, all that sort of thing.
Well, Hull was very much banking on there being, something similar to what they found.
Notably, I will say that you did not find the ship's captain.
Well, that is the first thing on her mind. Is she's got a name. She's now going to go around and start demanding to know where the captain is.
Right. You learn very quickly that they went on shore. They hadn't returned yet. So presumably they're still back at the River City. Which you are rapidly pulling away from.
Okay. Well, we can get a little bit of distance here.
Yeah, their name is...
Do you know what business he had on shore?
They went aboard to go find, go bring back, whatever supplies and, knowledge they could find in the storehouse, that the company has, ashore. And you notice that, all of them are referring to the captain, or to Jerome as they. And, I don't think that it's a gender thing at this point of linguistic development. So I think Hull definitely gets the sense as, speaking the Spanish with them that this is, like, they're referring to the captain as plural.
Okay. Interesting. I think she'll kind of prod at that. And, like, while she's talking to them, she's also going to throw up a supernal vision, just to see, like, are these guys sleepwalkers, mages?
Yep. Sure. So you cast the spell. I'm not gonna make you roll for it. You see sort of the little, bits and glimmers and peeking eyes out of shadows of the abyss, sort of preventing them from witnessing or understanding, as Hull puts it. And yeah, as you ask more about the Jerome, you get the information relayed to you, pretty matter-of-factly that Jerome is 5 people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so, you get other easily volunteered information that, this is the first time that they had been down here without the presence of a magus. And so they are more scared than usual. And they very sort of, again, openly sort of state that fact that they know about their masters as Magi.
And sorry, you said they were sleepwalkers?
No, they're sleepers.
Interesting.
Meanwhile, Wake, you are presently probably in eye and earshot of Hall and the rest of the crew, loudly shaking down one of the
And-
members of La Scimitara.
And rapidly losing patience.
Mhm.
So Wake is if like the after not getting some answers presumably, he's going to just like more energetically start moving to these different members of the crew that he knows has this, and start trying to throw his weight around. Like, if they're not going to give the answers up for the nice guy, he's going to do a little bit of intimidation.
Go ahead and give me a presence plus intimidation roll -3. Well, actually, -2.
And he's trying to kind of project, like, don't try hiding things from me,
Yeah.
like not to be messed with.
Yeah, so they are lying through their teeth to you. Every single person you talk to says that, they have no idea how to get out of here. Like, this, they're just crew members. This is the first time they've been down here without, a magus, probably the same word that Hull gets out of them. Just sort of obviously proclaiming their ignorance. Like, they're shaking, they're not meeting your eye. Obviously, they're lying. And as you sort of go about shaking them down, for the exceptional or dramatic failure, so there will be a -1 penalty to actions requiring the cooperation of the crew in the plan. But yeah, they're all lying through their teeth. One of them tells you that maybe the last time they took this journey, if you head upriver, then that's pretty good way to get back up towards the surface, as he calls it. But he's still sort of shaking, avoiding your eye light, or avoiding your eye contact like the little liar he is. And Paul probably notices this.
Wake is at this point like very fed up. He's ready to just head on over to the other ship. Or like at least retreat from this and try to come up with a better way to get their cooperation, since clearly this is not enough.
Okay, cool. Well, I've already levied the penalty from the action you took, so I'll resolve the informed wrongly condition if he's done trying to act on it. Cool. So Mist.
Yes.
You're sort of on the other ship. You're not
Mhm.
immediately in communication with your company mates on the other ship. You could shout or use some sort of lamp signal if you really wanted to. But you do have a heading, it seems.
He's gonna go next to Balthazar and says, "Loudly, yell loudly, so as to be heard by everyone in a very petty manner. That's Captain. I think I have a way out. At least the beginning of such. Should we? I can direct. Um, I can see the direction we should go to get out of here. Should I? What should we do?"
Balthazar, Balthazar's holding up, probably. Raoul is next to him also, I imagine, in considerably better shape than the rest of the crew. But he says, yes, get us out of here. Where do I go? And he sort of looks at you, imploringly.
Well, did Mist shouted loud enough of a member of the crew be able to hear him?
On your deck, sure. On the other ship, La Scimitara, no.
He's gonna look over to the other boat and just ask Balthazar, what should we do with the other ship and the rest of the crew on it?
Uh, um, uh, um, you get the sense that executive function is currently something that's difficult for Balthazar, given the stack of conditions he's operating under.
He's gonna
But Raoul interrupts and says,
yeah.
"We can use a lantern to signal," and then he, sends someone off to climb up the mast and start sending a, lantern signal. And in the meanwhile, if we just sort of start, I don't know if they have a heading yet, but if we start going in the direction, then presumably they will follow us if we signal. How do you know the way out?
Is that Raoul asking?
Yes.
Well, he's gonna look at Raoul and he stares up and says, magic, sorcery, witchcraft, whatever you want to call it. As long as it gets us out of here.
Okay.
Sure.
So, Raoul takes this news sort of without reacting. He's sort of a blank stone face, and he says, "Ah, of course." And then he takes another look at Balthazar, and then, leaves you alone after he sees that Balthazar has sort of turned course to follow your direction. He goes to busy himself with something else.
Before that, he just he says, I didn't want to come here. If we can discuss it after we get out of here, if we ever do.
Mm-hmm. Quite. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
hello?
Yeah, he says, quite.
Oh, there. Oh, sorry, yeah, I didn't heard for some reason my sound skipped a second or two, so I didn't heard anything you said.
Oh, cool. No, that's
So,
fine. Yeah, he
sorry.
says, yes, quite. And then he leaves your presence. Balthazar
Alright.
has the helmsman change way, and Wake and Hull, you in the midst of your various interrogations, hear from one of the crew members that La Rosa is sending a signal and changing course.
Hull wants to discuss this with Wake.
Wake's ready to hear it. He's looking a little bit, a little bit like just not in a great mood following his interrogations.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, she wants to find out what he's found out, and I'm sure he's going to tell her about all the liars aboard.
Mm-hmm. So what does Hull say? Like,
Hull is kind of explains that they didn't have the same thing aboard, but their captain, who is 5 people, is on shore. Now, if they can, it's a question of like whether it's worth trying to like hold the ship ransom in order to get, goodies, information, whatever, out of this 5-person captain, or whether it's time to cut our losses.
Wake will obviously share that this crew has been sticking together and sticking to their story. Though he has, personal magic reason to believe that they all know they definitely know a way to get out and are just hiding it from us.
Well, yeah. There's clearly no way we're going to get the information out of them.
Mm,
But if they're hiding it, then if we get into trouble, maybe they'll share.
mhm.
Hull is like kind of happy with what they've done so far. They've nicked this boat. They've pursued a boat into the underworld and are about to sail out of it, as far as she's concerned. So she's kind of like she's not like kind of desperate to stick to her plan of like using their means to get out. If they can find another way, if we can go back out. Mist was pretty clear on his intention to get out of here, so that's probably what they're doing on the other boat.
Mm-hmm. And Wake's the same in regards to, you know, not open that much to negotiate. Definitely doesn't want to give up anything that we've acquired. So I
Yeah.
think we just, you know, turn to follow the La Rosa.
Yeah, I agreed. Yeah, and whole kind of waves to the crew who are kind of in place and either like holding people at sword point and getting them to do the work, or doing it themselves and going, all right, getting out of here. Well done, guys.
Yeah, so everyone is obviously happy to hear that they are getting out of here, even if they need to see it to believe it, / need to get their marbles unrattled enough to be happy about the fact. But you follow La Rosa. It's heading back toward, or it's heading towards a different tributary, one you hadn't followed before. As you go up into, sort of the mouth of this smaller river branching off, you're going upstream, and your progress is significantly slowed. Again, there's no wind down here, but the ship is still sailing as if there were. But as you are sort of fighting against this constant downward movement, it's been this. It feels like you've been going down for so long that when you turn and are going, well, uphill, it feels as if, the whole ground has shifted underneath you. You find yourselves, moving more slowly, as going upriver always is. And the banks of the rivers around you gradually starts to narrow. The presence of these seeds on the deck or on the surface of the water vanish, or slowly start to diminish, rather. For you over on the other ship, Dalian, Mist, why don't you roll for the crew for me? So roll. What's the morale at? So that's a 0. But yeah. So you're rolling with +4 from the plan. Give me 6 dice.
Okay. Any chance I can spend willpower on that?
This is rolling on behalf of the crew, so I'll say no.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. Success. So it does not end up blowing up yet. Yeah, you make good, steady progress. You end up having to make a few decisions as you go around, but going downstream is significantly less sort of branching, or rather, going upstream is significantly less branching than going downstream because, for obvious reasons. Give me Sorry, just thinking. Yeah, I'm not gonna drag this out any further. You make it sort of in good time. You avoid some obstacles. You end up reaching sort of this narrow stretch of river. The crew manages to keep off of the shore, stop from dragging up on any rocks or sand, and before you looms a great iron portcullis, sort of emerging out of the bleakness of the small circle of light thrown by your lamps. heavy bars sort of sunk down into the water, almost as if it's dropped from, or almost as if it's dropped from a great stone arch, even though there's nothing that the portcullis is sort of built into. It's kind of freestanding. And you are minutes away from sort of ramming it. What do you do? And those of you on the other ship can also see this. You're a little bit a ways behind La Rosa, but
simply, I think it's gonna use his fate, time, and death sight and pain point of willpower and mana to activate it for the rest of the scene and look at the thing.
let me just quickly scroll up. Yeah, so for the off-the-cuff stuff, dramatic failure, exceptional success, destiny, fate, time, and death. So death, most immediately allows you to detect that there is some sort of manifestation condition that could be here. Like, this isn't an anchor for anything. You don't see any manifested ghosts, but there is a deathly effect sort of shimmering in all of this area that you are in. There is something here that is tied to, like there's something hiding here, latent here, sleeping here, closed off here. Anything else that you were planning to do beyond sort of that immediate first active sight?
Let me see one of my spells. Is there any fate effect on it? Any mystery or any?
The same. It has the same sort of destiny as everything else around here. It is meant to draw things towards their final rest or to their final destination, to draw them down. And it is meant to do so. I'm not making you bother with scrutiny because it goes relatively quickly, but I will note that sort of the crew around you is, alarmed at this sudden presence of the store. Like, people are rushing around, they're trying to furl the sails, they're trying to figure out what they can do to maneuver. The answer is nothing because of how narrow the sort of shores are.
I know what Mace is gonna do. He's gonna try to cast a fabricate fortune spell, try and trick the door in some way. But that would take a lot of. Ooh, I think that would be a spell with a lot of overreaching.
From the area, you mean, or from?
Number of subjects in area.
So as far as area, I think that probably advanced scale -2 would get it.
Maybe, and I also would need an
looking at the chart.
investigation. Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah. So I think he's gonna go and find Raoul.
I'll say that. So depending on what you're casting on, if you're just trying to cast on this gate, then yeah, advanced scale -2 would be totally fine. Yeah.
It was more trying to cast it on the two boats and the subject within to try to trick the gates because it's not sure casting in on the gates would do anything really. So the idea was more to cast Fabricate Fortune, and maybe in conjunction with Death to make the gate things that.
Yeah, so it can be used to trick conditional durations or spells with conditional triggers or other such things into acting as if the stipulated event has come to pass. So
He
you would be.
was, yeah, planning to cast it on every member of the crew and the airship to trigger the gate to being, we're gonna die and we need to get down because we're not actually where we're supposed to be, so we need to be dragged down if that's
So is the
makes sense.
goal to make the door open?
Yeah.
So then the door would be your target for that. You would be tricking the door into thinking that the trigger that you want has occurred.
Okay. So he's gonna do.
I will say that. Well, let me think about this because there's
Probably gonna have
something.
potency and try to resist it. Yeah.
This was
Um,
also my backup. Like this was my plan as well.
Um,
So we'll see if it works.
Well, I will say that if you or like, I would have you add death into it because sort of the default
Yeah, it's fair.
the default of the spell is to trick
Yeah.
spells, things like that. But if you were to add death, then you would be able to sort of trick a
Yep.
deathly thing into believing
Sure.
that
Yeah,
death
yeah.
occurred.
Like a word of power for in Prime. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, that's what he's gonna do then, I think.
Okay.
So,
I will have you roll for it.
of course. So it's an improvised spell. Where spell level 2 factor duration. He's gonna concentrate, so that +2, and use his silver coin to symbolize paying a passage, paying a toll. I think that's appropriate.
Okay, yeah.
So that's one more dice. 3. And before that's just gonna before he casts a spell, he's gonna go look at Raoul and say just don't let anyone bother me. I'm going to try to open this and get us out of here.
Raoul remains impassive, but he doesn't say anything otherwise, or say that he won't.
I'm gonna use willpower and
Are you releasing or containing any paradox?
containing for sure. Scale
Okay.
advance, Cassidy advance, range advance. Ooh. Duration advance. Oh my goodness. Already at 3 paradox. Ooh.
Big boy.
What does potency advance do again? Let me look at my.
It makes it harder to dispel.
I don't really care about that. I just want a bit more potency. Because so it's -2 to for potency to yeah power threshold level.
I'm gonna say it's not withstanding, so I don't think that you need additional
Okay.
potency, just sort of meta-narratively.
All right. Then I think scale sense subject larger scarcity time sensory. That's 3 paradox that I'm rolling to contain.
Okay, roll that wisdom. Or rather, roll the
Oh, yeah.
paradox dice pool. Okay, sweet.
Sweet.
No paradox.
No paradoxes. This cast a spell. Ooh.
Damn, that's a big dice pool.
Ah, nice. Almost exceptional, but yeah.
Close. It
And
looks like
spend the
you
mana.
didn't take the scale -2, but whatever. We'll let you
Oh,
have it.
where? Man.
So I
Oh, I.
said,
Sorry.
no, that's
I
fine.
can reroll.
That's fine. It wasn't exceptional, so we'll just let it go. Okay, cool. So as far as peripheral mage sight, everyone sort of feels a sense of something slipping, something tricking, something disguising itself lens
It's a
through their peripheral mage sight as
There's a
Dalian.
feeling of a. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so go ahead and give me the imago of the spell and how the gate opens.
There's a feeling of excitement swirling in everyone, and feeling of ocean breeze, and there's probably a slight mist that begin to form around the two boats. Not enough to inhibit vision, but enough to give it an otherworldly feel. As basically it's tricking, concealing the gate by itself.
Yeah, so um, the gate opens before you. There's this sort of sense that, much death has occurred. Much death has occurred on the other side of it. Normally, I'd have made you sort of try to figure out what the gate's trigger is, but I'll say that you just probably spent a couple minutes scrutinizing, and you realized that what will cause the gate to open is death on the other side. My bad on that, but you sort of slip this into it. You sort of trick it into thinking that has occurred.
Yeah, basically the
And
base idea of the spell was to we're on
Yep.
the other side and we're dying and
Yep.
we need to get down here.
So the gate, or the portcullis, slides up into the darkness, almost sort of just in the nick of time, we'll say. You were either about to run aground or run into the gate, and it slides smoothly, creakily up. And as it opens, there is an immediate blast of water that sort of rushes over you, washes over the deck, almost knocks everyone off their feet on both ships, as La Smitara sees this as well. And when everyone has, gotten their bearings, found themselves sort of able to pick themselves dripping up to their feet, you are almost blinded by the sight of sunlight, by the noon sun in the sky above you, almost burning out your corneas, baking you after the sort of almost constant chill of the past day's adventures. And you are upon the open ocean.
ooh, and this is for
I'm not
both
sure we
ships,
found a
right?
cross. No, sorry.
Both ships
So,
are out, right?
Mist, why don't you give me 3 dice
Oh, me?
for the obvious display of magic. Do you think that was kind of an obvious display of magic? You sort of,
No. I
forcing the
don't.
gate open?
Actually.
I mean, you did say that there were the mists and everything that made it feel all mystical.
Oh, right. I thought it was in Mage side, but could also have happened in. Yeah.
That's up to you.
Hmm. That's a good question.
Yeah. I think that we'll give you an extra die for it fitting your virtue, at least, because you were trying to get the crew out of there to be compassionate and get them back to the realm of the living where they would stop being broken open. But it will be an AOH, I think. So give me 4 dice. Okay, success.
Nice.
So, Mist, you got them out. You did what you wanted to do. You relied on your skills and your magic to thwart the underworld, like Orpheus, sort of, taking your wards out of the, grip of hell. How do you feel about that? How does that
It feels good because he's back in the land of the living and didn't especially liked the place either. He feels a bit pissed at what situation the crew has forced to endure, but he's mostly, I think, relieved right now and a bit proud of himself for his magical skills.
Yeah, so that was success. You don't lose wisdom, no conditions, but oh, I keep. Everyone gets arcane beats from Developing Acts of Hubris, don't they?
Think so?
Is it arcane beats
Yep.
or regular beats?
It's an arcane beat.
Okay,
Okay,
so
okay.
I think each of you have done that once this session, so I'll note that.
I just added mine just in case. Oh, should I have not do that?
We'll do that at the end, I think.
Okay, I'll remove it because otherwise I will forget.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you're back in the world of the living. You know, the crew sort of picks themselves up of both ships. The crew of La Rosa, sort of after they, you know, have blinked for several minutes. Some of them might think that they're dead, but they find themselves, you know, back out on the open ocean. There's hesitant excitement before, you know, round cheering and raising fists in the air and, you know, sort of delirious celebration. Balthazar calls for the rum to be broken out. On La Rosa, over on La Scimitarra, it's a little bit more muted because at least half of, or not at least half, but a large portion of the folks over there are still prisoners, but there's still relief over on the Scimitarra. Yeah, so we've got a half hour left in the session. Let's talk about sort of generalized plans. You've got an extra ship filled with textiles, salt, cacao beans, other such worldly treasures. What's the plan to do with it?
Hull's plan is head back to Nassau, you know, cash in, show off. This was very much a kind of build our legend within the company of the Codex.
Cool. And oh, wow, it looks like you were in combat that entire time. Whoops. Okay, cool. So, and I will bump company reputation up to 2.
Miss will do the same, but like when you will boast, it's more like I saved everyone and boastful didn't know what to do. A bit tamer than this, but he's
Oh
tell
no!
very sadly about that. Salty, sorry.
Oh no! Being
Yep.
happy about it. Okay. I mean, should we have it out, like
Maybe, yeah.
context? Because I kind of, you know, now that we are out of this life or death situation, like,
I mean, there's nothing stopping the Cabal from reconvening and speaking about what happened. And I'm pretty sure Raoul would like to speak to us as well.
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, do we want to skip to Nassau and that kind of bust down?
Sure. Do you wait until Nassau to have it out?
Probably not.
Okay, cool. So the ships pull up. The ships pull up next to each other. Gangplanks go down. There's logistics to handle in terms of, you know, distributing supplies back and forth, figuring out bearings, who's going to be on what ship, all that sort of jazz. And so you find yourselves presumably back on the deck of La Rosa as all of this is happening. The 3 of you.
So Hull's just so we get this out of character. Like Hull's point of contention is that Mist was spending the whole time sort of naysaying and complaining when there was a time for action. Like we had, you know, only just gotten control of this ship. We hadn't even gotten it moving, and Mist was already saying how pointless this whole endeavor was, and all of this stuff. And
We should probably say that in character because, you know, tribute.
Sure, I think that we're just trying to figure out sort of like where the
I'm more
people are
just-
coming from, so that the in-character hashing out can sort of be contained in that.
Exactly. Yeah. Like this is being said by Hull. I want to kind of phrase it out of character, as it were,
Okay,
so I'm clear, and we're not just kind of talking cross purposes. And well, obviously we're talking cross purposes, but just so we're clear on like what the point of contention is and what the argument is.
Okay, another point of contention for Dalian was we're not prepared, and the crew was even less prepared to go into the underworld. And Hall didn't know what she was doing, and she went anyway and did a bad job at it. And he will, his point that says he tried to keep the crew together while she brobit everyone, not thinking about others. And from his point of view, at least, he went to fight, he did a seagull, and he got us out. So he feels like he had basically followed, didn't have enough leadership, and had to basically get everyone out, which is exaggerated, but that's how I feel,
Yeah, exactly. Like they're both very much like exaggerating their positions. Like Hull, like we factually know that Hull didn't really know what she was doing, and very much like was riding by the seat of her pants there.
Yeah,
But from her perspective, it's like, no, I went with what felt right. And we got what we wanted out of
Yeah,
it.
it worked. Yeah.
Like
but
we
also, like,
did get out. Like
yeah.
even Dalian's Mist's what was it called? Divinations were like, yeah, it's gonna work. So like she feels very much that she was in the right, but
like,
I guess it like I'm trying to think like how would Hull approach this argument.
but yeah, basically, like, the point of Daniel is not like fuck the material goods. Like, you see, the crew is broken, and he will point to Balthasar too.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
Daniel was absolutely not in it for the material rewards.
so what is the takeaway for each of the members of the company from this? We've got obviously the main points that going into the underworld was risky. It had an enormous impact on the crew. Dalian was naysaying. Hull might have been slightly out of her depth, but it worked, and you got what you wanted. Is sort of the whole picture, right? What does each mage take away from the arguments and the debate?
Could I start?
Yeah.
So, as these two kind of argue back and forth, Wake's, trying to maybe sometimes be a bit conciliatory, but not really, not entering the discussion as much, right? This is very much an argument between, both of them. But Wake's position, following this, what he kind of got out of it was that he kind of takes the whole thing as maybe a bit of growing pains for the crew. This is very much, influenced and biased by his perspective, but he definitely doesn't think that it's a bad thing that they confronted this sort of stuff. The crew's shaken now, sure, but that will just mean that they'll be more ready next time, right? They just have to focus on kind of working through this. So his overall perspective is going to be there's more work to be done to make them more ready for the next time that we do this.
Yeah, Dalian will absolutely disagree on that, saying that, the whole point of, from what we have heard, like, showing magic like that hurts people that are not mage. And so he's basically like, his basic thing that even if he was naysaying, he helped, he compromised, and the two of them did not seem to compromise and just went and basically fucked up the crew, maybe to irreparable points, and they will not be a next time for them. They were already almost broken, or totally broken for some. And we'll point to Anselmo, for example.
And Selma, who was tied up and
Yep.
like
We
who
had
did that?
kind of, and
Wake would just counter that means that, since the mages helped get the crew to this point, that just means that they have the responsibility to, help them get put back together.
That's called taking. But what's the point of putting them back together if you're gonna do this all over again?
Mm,
And they are grown adults who have signed up.
That they could step off with their treasures next time we reach Nassau, as any time.
Yeah.
Well, Dalian will visibly be angry and annoyed, but instead of that, he's just gonna say, "Well, then I wish first next time there's um, a decision like that it be made by the three of us."
Well,
Uh,
this was
anything
the
that is
point
mine.
that this was the point that Hull's going to concede, is that she was rash. She ultimately believes that she did the right thing, but yes, she was rash, and this did put a lot of strain on things. So she absolutely concede that we need to take a bit of consultation. We need to not try and set up an end of episode cliffhanger at the drop of a hat. And yeah, she'll absolutely concede that, as they agreed between the three of them, like they would involve each other in decisions, and like she contravened that. She'll fully admit that.
Yeah, but we'll seem to appease Dalian and proposing that we have a vote in when those matter comes in. Obviously, if like we're almost sinking and we have three ship against us, then maybe one can act rashly to try to save us. But if we pursue or do something like that to have a reconvene and everyone vote, and if a majority wins, the majority wins.
Yeah. On that same point, I think what Hull's takeaway was from the situation was that, and she's still megalomaniacal here, so this is kind of affecting her judgment. But what she saw as more dangerous in their foray into the underworld was questioning her orders and naysaying and that kind of thing being far more damaging to the crew and dangerous in the situation. So, with the concession that like absolutely she should have consulted the others and we should consult each other on big decisions like that. Once we make a decision to do these things, we've got to stick by each other and follow it through.
Yeah, well, okay, Italian will agree and relent a bit and propose that if we go into those, if we vote and go into those positions, then we should also elect a temporary leader for such endeavors, so that there's no
That makes sense.
contradiction. But he will say if he feels something is bad idea, he will say it. He will still help, like he did, but he will say.
There's what we say to each other, and there's what we say in front of the crew, and in front of, the unseeing. I forget what we call them now, the sleepers, because they can't understand what we do, so they need to trust what we say. But if we're talking at odds at each other, about a situation of the supernatural, then that's not good for them. So absolutely, if we have a problem, and if we think things are going really badly, raise it with each other. But we can't be, we have to present like a united front externally.
Yeah, Darlene is fine with that.
Okay, cool. So I think that it sort of winds down from there as afternoon dusk is arriving, and let's see. For broad strokes, resolution from here, you were planning on heading straight back towards Nassau, pawn off your stolen goods. What were you planning on doing with the ship? Were you planning on keeping it and starting to build a fleet, or selling it? La Scimitara, that is.
Like, what would be, how feasible is keeping it?
We need a lot of crew.
Yeah, you would need to pick up additional crew. That's not sort of an uncommon thing, like sort of captains sort of split off and assign trusted subordinates to captain their ships somewhat frequently. It does require obviously more resource to manage more ships. I'm not interested in implementing a Civilization 6 minigame to start simulating an economy, but I will say that if this is a thing that you want your company to do to start, building up a fleet, then you can do that.
Alan isn't very much interested in that, but what happens to the other ship doesn't